Hi, Lena.
Hi,
How are you today?
pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. What's new and exciting?
Nothing, just spending quality time at home.
That sounds like a great commercial for quarantine. Have you been writing it all?
Yes, I have.
Fantastic. When do I get to read?
Um, it's not really quite ready yet because there's still so much that I want to say,
Okay.
but there are times that I don't have anything to say. So I think I will probably look over it one more time and then probably share it with you, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Absolutely. You sound like a writer. I resemble that remark. In fact, a lot of the time we're so focused on deadlines and due dates that it's almost like taking the cake out of the oven before it's finished baking.
Yeah.
So I understand. And don't be shy about sending it off a little bit half baked because undoubtedly we'll find something that we can improve on it, and that's totally okay too. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you.
Deanna, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I won't lie. AP testing is a little stressful this considering I have two coming up, but I've been doing okay.
Yeah. When's your first one?
This Thursday, so in 2 days, I have AP physics.
Oh wow. Okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about ours?
Ours I feel like I'm doing okay with, was considering like for my history class, I've been practicing a lot of my writing for that.
Hmm.
So my
Good.
writing skills I've been practicing not only in this class but in like other classes as well.
Yeah, they have a lot in common. The DBQs and the rhetorical analysis are both really effective for kind of taking this apart, the text, and putting it back together again.
Yeah.
Remind me, do I owe you feedback on something, or are we caught up together?
I think we're caught up. I haven't had a chance to look back on my essay or the journal surviving with class thing I wrote.
Okay.
But I feel like I remember you telling me that you did look at it, so I should check.
Yeah. And I know that you're under test pressure, so when you have a few moments, that's what Lena and I were just talking about for hers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to read whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So yesterday we left off on part 3. Is that right? I think we talked
Yeah.
about Clevenger, and then you guys were going to read part 3. Did you?
Part 3?
Yeah, Havermeyer.
I think it was yeah, you had us made us read part three on our own, and then we are supposed to come back and read part four.
Right. So I was just wondering first, before we get into part 4, if you had any questions about part 3, or if there was anything you wanted to talk about. So does that mean we're good, or do you want me to go over anything?
I
Or just
think
dive
we're
into
good. I'm
part
just
4?
trying to find it on the online thing.
Oh, okay.
But I think I'm good. Where is it? Oh, I think I found it.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay. So then I'll pick up on page 32 at the beginning of part 4, and that part is entitled Doc Danica. And if you've noticed, every single part to this first chapter is titled with the name of a character. So in a way, this is all exposition, even though there are some small things happening, and there's a lot of dialogue that kind of helps us get to know the characters' personalities. So far, this is like kind of going around the party and introducing each guest. So it starts by saying Hungry Joe was crazy, and no one knew it better than Yossarian, who did everything he could to help him. Hungry Joe just wouldn't listen to Yossarian. Hungry Joe just wouldn't listen because he thought Yossarian was crazy. Why should he listen to you? Dr. Nika inquired of Yossarian without looking up. Because he's got troubles. Dr. Nika snorted scornfully. He thinks he's got troubles. What about me? Dr. Nika continued slowly with a gloomy sneer. Oh, I'm not complaining. I know there's a war on. I know a lot of people are going to have to suffer for us to win it. But why must I be one of them? Why don't they draft some of those old doctors who keep shooting their kissers off in public, about what big sacrifices the medical game stands ready to make. I don't want to make sacrifices. I want to make dough. Are you starting to see a trend here with the characters and the value systems?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I love that. The human element of that is what I see every day on the news right now. I know people have to suffer for us to win and conquer the coronavirus, but why do I have to be one of those people? Dr. Nika was a very neat, clean man whose idea of a good time was to sulk. What kind of a facial expression is sulking?
Isn't to sulk like just to be like sad of oneself? Like, I don't know.
You know that look a little kid gives you when they're going to do what you asked, but they do not like it, like this?
Yeah.
That's sulking. So his
Okay.
idea of a good time was to sulk. That obviously gives us a sense of irony. He had a dark complexion and a small, wise, saturnine face with mournful pouches under both eyes. He brooded over his health continually and went almost daily to the medical tent to have his temperature taken by one of the two enlisted men there who ran things for him practically on their own and ran it so efficiently that he was left with little else to do but sit in the sunlight with his stuffed nose and wonder what other people were so worried about. Their names were Gus and Wes, and they had succeeded in elevating medicine to an exact science. All men reporting on sick call with temperatures above 102 were rushed to the hospital. All those except Yossarian reporting on sick call with temperatures below 102 had their gums and toes painted with gentian violet solutions and were given a laxative to throw away into the bushes. All those reporting on sick call with a temperature of exactly 102 were asked to return in an hour to have their temperatures taken again. Yossarian, with his temperature of 101, could go to the hospital whenever he wanted to because he was not afraid of them. The system worked just fine for everybody, especially for Dr. Nika, who found himself with all the time he needed to watch old Major DeCoverley pitching horseshoes in his private horseshoe pitching pit, still wearing the transparent eye patch Dr. Nika had fashioned for him for the strip of celluloid stolen from Major Major's orderly room window months before, when Major DeCoverley had returned from Rome with an injured cornea after renting 2 apartments there for the only time Dr. Nika ever went to the medical tent. Was the time he began to feel he was a very sick man each day and stopped in just to have Gus and Wes look him over. They could never find anything wrong with him. His temperature was always 96.8, which was perfectly all right with them as long as he didn't mind. You hear that inversion, right? It's supposed to be 98.6
Why'd they switch it?
because everybody in this book has something wrong with them that is kind of all right as long as it keeps them out of the war. Dr. Nika was personally familiar with a number of things that were drastically wrong. In addition to his health, he worried about the Pacific Ocean and flight time. Health was something no one ever could be sure of for a long enough time. The Pacific Ocean was a body of water, surrounded on all sides by elephantiasis and other dread diseases, to which, if he ever displeased Colonel Cathcart by grounding Yossarian, he might suddenly find himself transferred. And flight time was the time he had to spend in airplane flight each month in order to get his flight pay. Dr. Nika hated to fly. He felt imprisoned in an airplane. In an airplane, there was absolutely no place in the world to go except to another part of the airplane. Dr. Nika had been told that people who enjoyed climbing into an airplane were really giving vent to a subconscious desire to climb back into the womb. He had been told this by Yossarian, who made it possible for Dan Danica to collect his flight pay each month without ever climbing back into the womb. Yossarian would persuade McWatt to enter Dr. Nika's name on his flight log for training missions or trips to Rome. You know how it is, Dr. Nika had wheedled with a sly conspiratorial wink. Why take chances when I don't have to? Sure, Yossarian agreed. What difference does it make to anyone if I'm in the plane or not? No difference. Sure, that's what I mean, Dr. Nika said. A little grease is what makes this world go around. One hand washes the other. Know what I mean? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Yossarian knew what he meant. That's not what I meant, Dr. Nika said as Yossarian began scratching his back. I'm talking about cooperation, favors. You do a favor for me, I'll do one for you. Get it? Do one for me, Yossarian requested. Not a chance, Dr. Nika answered. There was something fearful and minute about Dr. Nika, as he sat despondently outside his tent in the sunlight as often as he could, dressed in khaki summer trousers and a short-sleeved summer shirt that was bleached almost to an antiseptic gray by the daily laundering to which he had it subjected. He was like a man who had grown frozen with horror once and had never come completely unthawed. He sat all tucked up into himself, his slender shoulders huddled away halfway around his head, his sun-tanned hands with their luminous silver fingernails massaging the backs of his bare, folded arms gently, as though he were cold. Actually, he was a very warm, compassionate man who never stopped feeling sorry for himself. Why me? Was his constant lament, and the question was a good one. Yossarian knew it was a good one because Yossarian was a collector of good questions and had used them to disrupt the educational sessions Clevenger had once conducted 2 nights a week in Captain Black's intelligent tent with the corporal in eyeglasses who everybody knew was probably a subversive. Captain Black knew he was a subversive because he wore eyeglasses and used words like panacea and utopia, and because he disapproved of Adolf Hitler, who had done such a great job of combating un-American activities in Germany. What? Yossarian attended the education sessions because he wanted to find out why so many people were working so hard to kill him. A handful of other men were also interested, and the questions were many and good when Clevenger and the subversive corporal finished and made the mistake of asking if there were any. Who is Spain? Why is Hitler? When is right? Where was that stooped and mealy-colored old man I used to call Papa when the merry-go-round broke down? How was Trump at Munich? Ho ho berry berry and balls all rang out in rapid succession, and then there was Yossarian with the question that had no answer. Now, before I get to the question that had no answer, I have a question. When I read something like in class when we're all together, and I read something like Captain Black knew he was a subversive because he wore eyeglasses and disapproved of Adolf Hitler, who had done such a great job of combating un-American activities in Germany, that's crazy talk, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So help me understand something. When I read something like that in class and it's so quiet, like, do people get that that's completely wrong talk designed to get our attention or make us laugh or shock us? Or did it even register when I read it? How was that passage for you to hear?
Well, I was on mute, so you couldn't hear me, but I kind of just like smirked, kind of just laughed. I was like, what the heck is this book talking about? I was like, why is this saying that? What?
Okay.
This is wrong. But I
Because I
didn't,
miss out. Yeah.
oh no, I was like, I guess maybe kids like are afraid to like share what they're really thinking sometimes, or like their first immediate reaction. So sometimes you can't tell, especially when it's through, a computer screen and you can
Yeah.
go on mute.
And you're right, Deanna. It's a lot harder when I can't see your facial expressions and your body language, so that's true. And sometimes I almost wish, like, I would pay people $1 just to go, what the, what? Because at least then we could have a conversation about, like, what is the author really trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
Now, all of that craziness leads up to a particular moment, and that's where I left off. Where are the Snowdens of yesteryear? That's the question that has no answer. The question upset them because Snowden had been killed over Avignon when Dobbs went crazy in midair and seized the controls away from Hoople. The corporal played it dumb. What? He asked. Where are the Snowdens of yesteryear? I'm afraid I don't understand. Oui sont les Negiden d'Atan? I'm doing my best. I don't speak French. Yossarian said to make it easier for him. Parlez en anglais, for Christ's sake, said the corporal. Je ne parle pas français. Neither do I. That means I don't speak French. And Yossarian said, neither do I, answered Yossarian, who was ready to pursue him through all the words in the world, to wring the knowledge from him if he could. But Clevenger intervened, pale, thin, and laboring for breath, a humid coating of tears already glistening in his undernourished eyes.